What is good, everybody? My name is Jacob. I've been a diehard Pistons fan since 2003, and I'm eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. In today's video, we are officially one day out from the 2024 NBA draft, and I want to talk about the possibility of trading back in the draft. And towards the end of the video, I'll let you know the likelihood that I do think this happens. So James Edwards III, of course, one of the most important, if not the most important, not really that it's competition, but he's a beat writer. I mentioned that it's very likely that Langdon, the new president of basketball operations, is going to be looking to trade back in this draft. I also feel like, I don't know if I'm having like the Mandela effect, but I feel like I heard Langdon mention this during the press conference or saw it in writing that he thought that there's a possibility, he said outright there's a possibility they would trade back as. So let's kind of talk through some of the options that we could have if we're looking to trade back with the number 5 pick. So the first one that jumps out to me straight away is if Donovan Clingan is still on the board. I feel like if Donovan Clingan is still on the board at number 5, another team might value him more than. I know a lot of you guys are super high on Donovan Clingan. I'm personally probably a little lower than consensus on him. I just feel like he's a little bit too, I wouldn't say one dimensional, but just not the type of player that really can do a lot of different things. He's pretty in a box, is kind of a slower rim protector. Probably will be a decent lob threat offensively. I know he's kind of got a couple passing chops, things like that, but nevertheless, I would just rather ride out with Darren being our starting center going forward. So if he's still on the board at 5, something that could definitely happen is a swap with the Memphis Grizzlies to go back to number 9. If Donovan Clingan is on the board at number 5, Memphis could want to move up and take that pick, and then in return give us back the 9th pick along with either another asset or potentially a player like Marcus Smart. Not really sure how I feel about Marcus Smart coming back in that deal. Of course, there's no chance that we'd be getting somebody like Jaren Jackson caliber or anything like that, but another name that maybe could be a possibility would be Gigi Jackson. I would imagine that the 9th pick and Gigi Jackson for the 5th pick is something that Memphis would say no to, but I'm not really sure why, because Gigi Jackson, even though he did have a pretty good rookie year, I mean, realistically, he didn't have a super high field goal percentage or anything. He's young. I don't want to hate on the kid or anything like that because I think he's going to be good. But I don't think that there's nothing there. Maybe the 5th pick and another player like Grimes for the 9th pick and Gigi Jackson, could that be a trade? I don't really know. But nevertheless, I think that if Donovan Clingan is still on the board, the one team with a pick later in the lottery that would really kind of want to move up and take that would be the Memphis Grizzlies. A couple other picks that I've thought of is Portland potentially trading us Jeremy Grant for the 5th pick. I don't know how you all feel about that contract coming back to Detroit. I don't know how you all feel about Jeremy Grant coming back to Detroit. When Jeremy Grant was here during Cade's rookie year, I felt like there wasn't that much synergy between the two players, but I think that could definitely change going forward. Of course, I think Jeremy liked his time here. He actually chose to sign here, so I don't think he would be completely out of the question on coming back. The question is giving them the 5th pick for just Jeremy Grant, is that a good trade? Because I don't really know how Jeremy Grant's bigger contract is really valued in the league right now. Potentially, maybe we could look at something like the 14th pick the Blazers have, along with Jeremy Grant for the 5th pick, and maybe, I don't know, maybe again Grimes or whoever else they want, maybe Stasser. I don't really know. But either way, there's definitely a possibility that those could be the two cornerstones of a move back trade would be Jeremy Grant for that 5th pick and maybe a couple things thrown in on both sides. And then I also have Lauri Markkanen in this deal here. I don't really know how that would possibly work. I think it would have to be like a 3-team deal where we send the 5th pick to the Jazz along with sending another player like maybe Stu or Ivy to a team that's also going to send picks to the Jazz, because realistically, if the Jazz are giving up on Lowry, that means they're going to want a lot of picks back. Danny Ainge is not the type of guy who you're going to fleece, so we would really have to pick up something crazy to get Lowry in the building. But for me personally, Lowry is like my dream A1 trade target destination. I just think that Lowry would be the best player to complement Cade in maybe all of the. If there was any possible way that we could get Lowry on this team and keep Cade along with maybe Darren too, sign me up. Everything else can go at that point. Do I think that's realistic? maybe if the Jazz had like an incompetent GM, and I hate using that phrase, so I don't think there's any incompetent GMs, but realistically, Danny Ainge finds a way to win every trade that he's involved in. So I don't think that if he's looking to unload on Lauri, he's going to do it on a whim. He's not going to do it because he decides that he really wants the fifth pick in this draft because Donovan Clingan is still there, or because Matas Buzelis is still there, or really because of anybody in this draft. I just think Danny Ainge is too much of a hardball type of guy to deal with. He finds a way to always be the person who comes out on top of a trade, even when it just first happened. Every trade that he ever makes, it feels like the initial fan reaction is, holy, like, what just happened? Like, Danny Ainge got all that for that person. So I just don't think it's realistic, but it also is like my dream scenario. If I were to fall asleep and dream, that would be the route that we end up going with this fifth pick. But let me know if you guys have any ideas on other trades that could potentially happen on draft night. I don't know if there's a possibility for us to maybe trade the 53rd pick to move up further in the second round, because I do like the front half of the second round a lot this year. I think, honestly, there's probably about a 35 to 40% chance that the Pistons make a trade on draft night, whether that be for the fifth pick to move back, whether that be to add another pick, or even if it's just getting rid of that 53rd pick to move up in the front half of the second round. I think there's a lot of possibilities that can happen. And I would call it a good 40% chance that we do see some type of trade when you consider all of these options, including 53 and 5 and everything else that we have. I think there's a pretty high chance, around 40%, almost half chance that we end up trading something on draft night. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any other ideas. I would love to see what you guys got to say. I'm super excited for the draft. Coming into this draft, I thought I was going to be kind of disappointed and just kind of zoned out going through the motions of this draft process, just because there's really none of that top end talent like Wemby or Cade or Paolo in this draft. But now that it's kind of getting close and I'm looking at different mocks and they're all over the place, seeing how much variance is actually really happening here, I'm excited. It's going to be a fun night. Even for non-Pistons related stuff, it's going to be a fun night. So hope you all enjoy it. Talk soon.